Church family, we just want to do a video to kind of give you a visual of what Sunday mornings are going to look like for you as you come into the worship, into the sanctuary, up to the church building. We want to give you where to enter to, kind of what it's going to look like. I know a lot of us are visual learners. A lot of us like to know what we're going into. So over the next few minutes, we're going to kind of walk through what a Sunday morning is going to look like as you arrive, as we worship together, and then as we exit together. Obviously, if you've read your equipper, we're going to have 3 entrances available for you to come in. We have our Harris Street entrances, both the upper and the lower. The red doors that are behind me, we're going to keep those closed, so don't try to enter through those. We'll have a sign out front to remind people. And then we also have our Oak Street by the office entrance, and as well as we will have the alley entrance for anybody that needs to come up the ramp as well. So let's go inside and follow and see what it looks like as we go in. As you come into the doors, there will actually be somebody at the doors to open it, so you don't have to worry about touching the door handles. Each Sunday over the next several weeks, that'll be the case. If you come into, obviously, this lower Harris Avenue doors, we have the elevator if you're going to use it. Someone will operate that for you. We will ask that only households get the elevator because it is a tight squeeze. Again, we're doing all this out of the abundance of caution just to keep you safe and keep everyone safe as we worship together. Let's continue on. Right, as you come into the atrium, it'll actually look a little bit different. All the tables and chairs, we're going to just remove out, just to take the temptation of gathering. Obviously, if you saw the guidelines, there won't be coffee or water. Bring your own water or your own coffee, your morning beverage of choice. We encourage you to do that if that's what you need. But the atrium will be, we just ask that you don't congregate, and we're going to continue to walk as we enter into the building. As we approach, obviously, the sanctuary, if you need to use the elevator, we'll have people there again that will operate it for you, so you don't have to worry about touching anything. Also, like I said, the alley doors will be available if it's easier to be dropped off there and walk up the ramp there. With the 2 entrances, if you read in the guidelines, to get into the sanctuary are the organ and the piano side entrances. All those that are closest to the stage, the ones towards the foyer, again, will be locked down just so we can create a better flow and be able to organize this. Next, we're going to hand it over to Mel. She's going to share what it looks like as you walk up to the table for your face mask, for hand sanitizers, and I think we even have something for the kids.
Hey friends, when you make it to the table, we have this disposable mask for you, or you can also take a cloth mask that some of our church members made. And for the kids, we have activity bags for you to follow along with the message, but please just take these with you. We don't need them back.
All right, now we're into the sanctuary. You've got your mask, you've sanitized your hands. There will be someone at the doors to kind of help facilitate as you walk in, to remind you to keep your distance, to greet you and say hello, obviously. As you come in, there will be some of our deacons or some other folks that have volunteered to help that will kind of show you where to sit. Obviously, our sanctuary is we're limited in the space because of our pews. So what we've done is every other pew, and the pews that have pads on them are the ones that are available to sit on. The ones that don't have pads have been marked off so that we can keep that distancing as best as possible. Let's head over here and see. Obviously, on this first row, it's padded. I know a lot of people do not like to sit on the first row, but that is available. We will sit from the front back as you enter in. So for our back row Baptists that are hardcore, you might want to come a little later than 10 o'clock so you can hopefully get towards the back that you like to have. But like I said, there will be some ushers in here to kind of take you to where the open seats are. These aisles will actually have directional arrows, again, so we can create a better flow of what it looks like. The center aisles will head us back towards Harris Avenue. The side aisles will bring us back up towards the stage. And so we have our pew that's marked that does not have anybody sitting on it. and the pew immediately behind that is one that has a pad, which we are saying you are able to sit. Again, we always ask just keep safe distancing in mind. 6 feet is what the CDC and the White House Task Force has suggested, so we're going to try to do that the best we can. Give us grace as we try to work through that, especially on this first Sunday of what that kind of looks like. We're excited to be able to finally be together, but we do want to keep everyone as safe as possible. You know, one of the questions that probably is asked, how do you define a family unit when we say you can sit with your family unit, if you read that in the guidelines? And how we're going to define that, if they live in your house, if it is a resident of your house, then that is your family unit. It's really a household. So when you come and you sit, we ask that the ones that you are close to and distancing are the ones that also live in your house. If someone does not live in your house, we do ask that you try to keep that 6 foot distance. While the worship service is going on, we will stay seated. We will not worry about having to stand up or sit down. We're just going to have everyone stay seated. Something that, like I said, everyone's going to be wearing a mask, like we asked in the guidelines. We ask you just to respect that. It's not necessary for personal safety, it's for safety of others. Like we're doing now, this is an abundance of caution. Those that are on stage will not be wearing masks, but as they come off stage, as I'm sitting in the congregation, or Michael after he does the welcome, or even the praise team as they're sitting out in the congregation, they'll also be wearing masks. So it's going to be applied to everybody for the next few weeks at least. Again, we do ask that you just abide by that. If you don't like that, unable to abide by it, like I said last Sunday when we announced it, it's probably just best you stay home if that's going to make you that uncomfortable. As the worship service ends, I will get back up and explain the dismissal. It kind of depends on how many people we have show up, but we will dismiss in an orderly fashion. We will ask you to leave without congregating and just go ahead and exit. As you do exit, we are, if you read in the guidelines again, that we are not going to have hand-to-hand contact in the sense of handing stuff out. So there won't be a bulletin. The hymnals are gone. The Bibles that are normally in the pew backs are also gone. And then we will not have a time of passing the plate for the offering. Actually, what we will have is we'll encourage you, if you already send it in like you've been doing the last several weeks, fantastic. If you pay online, great. But if you have a in-person offering you'd like to give, we're going to have boxes at the exits that people can drop their offering into. So we are so grateful for the gifts that we get. We're only able to do the ministry we're able to do because of those gifts. We praise God for the gifts, and we thank you as well as the Lord for his provision in many ways. I'm going to turn it over to Michael to kind of explain, hey, how do you safely distance and greet one another at church? It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard not to go up and hug somebody you haven't seen in a while. It's going to be hard to not want to shake hands. It's going to be hard not to want to give a holy kiss. But Michael's going to give us a few tips on the best ways to safely greet one another. I'll turn it to Michael.
Hey church, as always, we want to be mindful of how we greet one another, and so we're asking that you keep a safe distance between everybody as we greet. We ask that you do not congregate, but you can be creative with your greetings. You can do the air hug, as we like to do in youth ministry. There's the air high five. You can even wave or just the howdy. But we ask you refrain from doing handshakes and just things that will create more contact. We're going to try to refrain from doing things that involve physical contact. So just be creative and be mindful of that as we approach Sunday.
All right, we hope that maybe answered some of your questions of what it's going to look like. I hope it didn't create more questions, but feel free to reach out and ask, hey, what did you mean by this? Or, hey, could you clarify this? We are excited to finally get to worship in person. We're calling it the re-entry because we never really stopped worship. We have continued to worship during this time in just a different format. And we are finally excited to be able to do in person, but like we said, we do want to take the abundantly cautious route. I read a quote at the very beginning of this time that it's going to be abundantly clear whether we underreacted, It might not be abundantly clear if we overreacted, but I would rather land on the side of overreacting and be overly abundant. And I hope you are as well. Again, we look forward to worshiping with you on Sunday. And God bless, and then praise God we're able to do this. So we'll see you this Sunday, May 31st.